So we're going to be discussing Nene Leakes. Now, for those of you who do not know about Nene, I'm just going to give a little quick background. She basically is one of the breakout stars from the Real Housewives franchise. And if you know anything about the Real Housewives, it documents women and, it's reality TV. So they all have a storyline. They all come together. Usually, some of the women are married, some of them are going through a divorce, some of them are freshly engaged. It just follows the woman around. And Nene is one of the most quotable housewives, I would say. Very witty, very spontaneous with her delivery, and rememberable. She has a distinct tone and just a very sharp way of saying things.
To married men. Close your legs to married men.
Excuse
you heard
me?
it? The deal is, I'm on Broadway, and you're at home.
And not only that, her comedic timing is on point as well. And with her being a Sagittarius, it makes so much sense. Sagittarius don't get credit for their comedic timing and, their comedy skills. But there are plenty of Sagittarius out there who are just naturally funny, and Nene really can represent that. Now, jumping into her natal birth chart, because the reason why I wanted to do Nene and pull her up, she really does remind me of Natalie Nunn in a way. And if you guys want, you can go and check out my video on Natalie. But basically, Nene comes from that reality TV world. And she also is one of the bigger stars from the franchise that she's a part of, similar to Natalie. But in the same way, Nene is very hot-headed. She has this big ego, this God complex, and it's something that turns off a lot of people. Not only is it turning off her castmates and, the producers and the people she has to work with, it's also turning off her fans and the people who support her, because Nene is the type of Sagittarius who is, very blunt and truthful about her experiences, and she's able to voice her opinions and, address her concerns and things, and she's very truthful while doing so. Those are her personal experiences, so they can be valid, but at the same time, Nene refuses to address other people's experiences and other people's truths, you know what I mean? Especially when it's concerning her or it's in regards to her, you know what I'm saying? And she's been a part of that, and maybe she's hurt someone or she's affected someone. She tends to run away from that. And so we're basically going to jump into her natal chart to really, identify some of the areas in her natal chart that can really specifically point to why Nene is so rebellious. And with Nene being a Sagittarius, it's very dangerous to not be living within, your truth, and to be displaying qualities of integrity, honesty, and, going out there and just acting on your own potential, but still having some type of moral compass that you're following behind. Because you can go out here and be like a false advocate. You could be sponsoring and enabling people to follow behind these teachings or these practices that that Nene is not even, keeping up with herself. That is something Sagittarius can be doing. They can go out here and preach things and want to be these teachers and vocalize all of these points that they're trying to make, but they may not be practicing them themselves. They may not be charging themselves up and using their internal confidence to act on their own potential. A lot of Sagittariuses can struggle in this area, They're known for running their mouths. And trust me, I'm a Sagittarius, I know. And me and Nene actually can share, some similarities, because she's born on December 13th in the year of 1967. And my birthday is December 4th. So with her being born on the 13th, that number can be broken down to the 4th, and that is what makes Nene so authentic. That is what makes her very expressive and almost robotic in a way. And the number 13 is ruled by the planet Uranus, which governs over the zodiac sign Aquarius. Now, this can deal with her wanting to have this blonde hair and this kind of shocking look. That definitely can be credited to that Uranus Aquarius influence. And then she also is very animated, which can also come from that Uranus influence. Uranus can produce someone who is like artificial and kind of just unique when it comes to their body language and the way that they talk, the way that they express themselves. It can be socially awkward at times. They can come off as goofballs. But these people usually get a lot of attention just for the simple fact that they're so different and they stand out. And a lot of people are usually looking at them as a freak show or as, something to point at and laugh at. But in the eyes of an Aquarius person or someone who has this influence, it plays into their confidence and it boosts their self-esteem, being that they're able to get so much engagement off of being, the odd one out and being that black sheep. And that number 13 also can deal with Nene liking to role play or cosplay, and even dealing with her liking to act, because that Uranus influence can produce someone who has multiple personalities. And that's because, that Uranus influence can produce someone who just has these personality traits and these character traits that are unpredictable, unexpected, and these are people who are just very inconsistent with what they're giving you. So this definitely will work for acting, reality TV as well. This is definitely pointing towards that. So going more in depth with her sun sign, Nene has her sun squaring Uranus, squaring Pluto, squaring her ascendant. And unfortunately, since I don't know her birth time, I'm not able to, identify what her ascendant possibly could be. But if I had to take a guess, I would definitely say Virgo. Nene gives me like a Virgo ascendant, if not maybe an Aquarius ascendant, but I am leaning heavy towards Virgo just for the simple fact that she loves to be polished, she loves to be stylish, and she loves to keep up with the blonde hair. That's so typical of Virgo. Virgo can be very uniformed in that way. And Virgo has to deal with, the office space and serving and assisting. So Virgos can be very formal when it comes to their dress. And Nene usually is very polished, I would say. She has her moments of downplaying and trying to dress more youthful and trying to be on trend with the fashions. But usually she definitely gives me Virgo. If you just see, she keeps up with the pattern, with the stripes and the blacks, the neutrals, the dark colors, and once again, the blonde hair. When it comes to Nene operating from her Sagittarius energy, she's very vibrant there. She's very comfortable there. And it shows. It shows not only in her sun and where her sun sits, but she has a Mercury in Sagittarius as well. These are the individuals who literally have this flavorful, very foreign way of communicating with other people. And so their delivery a lot of times is very colorful. Similar to a Mercury in Aquarius or a Mercury in Pisces, Sagittarius tends to have unique things that they say, and it's catchy. It catches on, And another thing you will notice with people who have this placement is that they can be very clumsy in conversation. So while conversing with other people, you'll notice that Sagittarius tend to be blunt. And it's literally coming from an authentic place. They're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. They're not trying to intimidate anyone. This is who they are. So when you notice a Sagittarius, such as Nene herself, expressing their truths and their beliefs, it can be justified, and they have some type of evidence to back whatever it is that they might be talking about. Now, the evidence that they present may not be substantial at times, you know what I'm saying? It definitely can be pulled like it's coming from their behind, or it's coming from thin air, or even it's coming from, religious text. Since Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, this is where you can see Sagittarius kind of pulling from that influence a little bit to present a lot of spirituality while they're speaking. They can just have a very preachy nature about themselves, and it can go over the heads of a lot of people, especially people who are not in the mind frame of seeking validation or seeking some type of approval or even unwarranted advice. a lot of the things that Sagittarius say can be taken for granted, and it definitely can be overlooked. Sagittariuses will go out of their way to kind of like beat a dead horse with a stick. You know, they definitely can drill their own thoughts, beliefs, and opinions and ideologies into people's brains until they're getting people to agree with them. And it's not the healthiest way to go about things, because it definitely can bring about some of those narcissistic qualities that the fire signs tend to show. You know, Sagittarius isn't the only one. You definitely can see this with Leo. Leo literally can represent narcissism to like the highest degree, I feel, especially the dark-sided ones. And also Aries, they're the sign of violence, and they're also, you know, the sign that represents anger. And one thing that all of these signs have in common is that they're passionate. Therefore, they're fighters. They're not going to back down when they're being challenged. You know, these are very competitive energies. Her Mercury in Sagittarius sextiling her Mars in Aquarius. So people who have their Mars in Aquarius are very fluid. Since Nene has her Mars in Aquarius squaring Venus, and it's squaring the moon, she probably does not feel comfortable with her appearance and with her body and things like that. And, you know, this probably does ring true for Nene, since she has gone and gotten on the operation table a number of times. Her original face is no longer recognizable. Now, she's changed her nose, and I'm pretty sure she's gotten other things nipped and tucked as well. The only thing that has been consistent is the blonde wigs, unfortunately. And I really wish she would let the blonde wigs go. I feel like if she was to wear a natural, you know, brunette, dark brown, chocolate brown colored hairstyle, then she would appear probably 10 years younger. But the blonde is definitely aging her. It's making her look out of touch, you know, and not in a good way. Not in a good way. Now, jumping back into, you know, her Mars in Aquarius, this can make Nene attracted to, you know, not the adolescents, but definitely partners who are younger than her. She can be attracted to partners who are very unpredictable in their age, unpredictable in their look. So one minute she could be into a certain type of guy, and it can be shocking. It can be something that's just thrown out like a monkey wrench. You know, people just don't know what to do with it. And so her interest and, you know, the things that might ignite those passions and those flames within her life may not be, you know, consistent. She may just have a lot of different spontaneous things happening, especially when it comes to, you know, her adult life and in regards to adult physical activities. She actually could be the type of person who sustains or just goes a long time without adult physical activity. And then the times that she does get it, it probably is just like a one night stand, a booty call type of situation, just like very quick. I can imagine that a lot of her intimate moments are exposed or revealed, and she deals with a lot of rumors as well that can surround, you know, her home life and her family and her love life and her relationships. And those are the negative rumors. Since her Mars in Aquarius is squaring the moon and it's squaring Venus, but it's sextile and Mercury, I definitely can see her having rumors and issues in regards to her home life. She would definitely have to watch out for domestic violence when it comes to her relationships, especially with Nene having her Venus in Scorpio. People who have this placement in their charts tend to like that love that is very ride or die. They're gonna ride it out until the wheels fall off. These are those obsessive type of partners who are very controlling, and they're mysterious at the same time. So they may have things that are hidden that they keep to themselves, but they're all over their partner. They don't want their partner to have any type of privacy. You know, these are the type of people in relationships who are suffocating, you know, and they trauma dump a lot. So these people love, 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 love. Once they get in, you know, a deep companionship with someone and they create that intimate bond, it's usually made by some trauma bonding. These people cannot help themselves from being like emotional vampires, vibrational vampires. They love to pull on other people's frequencies. And so getting reactions, especially deep and intense emotional reactions from other people to where they can manipulate that and kind of play on other people's heartstrings, it's all in the realm of Scorpio. You know, that's what they are known for doing. And so since Nene has her Venus in Scorpio, this is what makes her so nasty and so rude. And she can have an interest for being that way and for displaying, you know, the less favorable qualities when it comes to collaboration, partnership, and things dealing with admiration and affection, you know, all the things that Venus can represent. She can actually enjoy the darker side of that. And with it squaring her Mars, this is what kind of takes Nene out of the picture of being a nice, you know, person or just being a girl's girl. This is what takes her out of that equation. Since her Venus in Scorpio is squaring her Mars in Aquarius, she's just going to have a lot of rumors surrounding her behavior. And a lot of these rumors can deal with friendship circles, close and intimate relationships, even, you know, adult physical intercourse and things like that. Since it's squaring Mars, Mars has to deal with sex, but Venus also can deal with that, and Venus deals with collaboration and partnership. But Scorpio makes things more intense, it makes things more dark, it brings trauma and pain and pleasure into the picture. You know, it is definitely some area where Nene feels like she is the ringleader, she calls the shots, she's the boss. This is that typical behavior of, you know, that prom queen, the bridezilla, the HBIC, who is just infamous for treating their friends like crap.
Nene, please come and say a few words. Thank you. Everybody welcome Miss Nene Leakes.
It's amazing how many good friends I have and don't know about it.
And it's not helping that her Jupiter is sextiling this placement, so she definitely can amplify a lot of her emotions and a lot of situations dealing with, you know, friends and business partners and collaborations and things like that. She can really, you know, amplify those moments. And there's times where I'm pretty sure things have been good because, you know, with Scorpio, it's either love or hate. And since she has her Venus in Scorpio, there's people who either love Nene and, you know, they, like, again, it's that ride or die type of relationship, or there's people who cannot stand this woman and she possibly gets on their last nerves. And this placement can make Nene honestly very unlikable, especially since it's sextiling her Jupiter and Virgo placement. Now, this placement right here is what's going to make Nene very traditional, but at the same time, someone who is very optimistic and very explorative. Therefore, she can escape in not, you know, fantastical things, but more so manifestation, words of affirmation. You know, she definitely can identify with certain ideas that are in support of amplifying her current reality, because Virgo does deal with the reality, but more so in a practical sense. So following her around, watching her, you know, do day-to-day activities and wanting to show that off. All of that is a part of the whole reality world. And this Jupiter and Virgo placement, it kind of plays a role with her being a cast member or being a part of some type of reality show. And this aspect is trining her midheaven. It is sextiling her Venus, and it's trining her moon in parallel to her node. So this is one of those placements that could play towards her claim to fame. And this aspect also can point to Nene being one of the bigger breakout stars from the Housewives franchise. Now, with Nene having her Saturn in Aries placement, this is a placement that I like to see in people's charts, but at the same time, I feel as if this placement makes these people unlikable just because Aries is the opposite sign of Libra. And Libra deals with likability. Libra deals with things that we admire. Whereas Aries is the opposite of that. So Aries can represent dislikes. And so a lot of people who have their Saturn in Aries, they can be easily unlikable, and they can be typically known for having an assertive nature about themselves, but the way they go about asserting themselves can be off-putting to other people. And they can say and do a lot of things and be rushed, you know, and a lot of their viewpoints they have to double back on and kind of re-justify their initial standpoint because they just say the first thing that comes to their mind. And they could be known, you know, someone like Nene who has this placement, they could be known for doing this. And not only does Nene's Saturn and Aries placement make her outgoing, and it can make her very assertive, you know, this is really one of those inspirational placements where you definitely could be motivated by these people just from watching them, just from seeing them on the outside and looking at them progress in life due to how hungry they can come off and how ambitious they are. Now, the downsides to this aspect is the fact that it can produce someone who is self-centered, and they could have the reputation for being self-centered and arrogant and cocky and all of the things that has to do with self, since Aries is influencing the behavior of Saturn here. So Nene is going to be prone towards being all about herself, and this is seen with how she likes to take charge of the social circles that she tends to be a part of, and she wants her friends to pick a side and lean towards being in support of whatever Nene is, you know, bringing to the table. And she basically wants her friends to lean towards being in support of Nene, but in the same breath, Nene is not in support of her friends, and she's not in support of the people that she's in these social circles with. She tends to want people to be all about her. And this doesn't work when she's really one of these magnetic people, and a lot of people actually like her. A lot of people love, you know, her energy because she's working with a handful of Aquarius energy, but she also is a Sagittarius woman. So she's going to play into that abundance, and she's going to play into that fortune. And she has a fortune of friends and a fortune of opportunities. But her reputation for being pleasant possibly is just not there. She could be known as someone who is problematic and difficult to be around and, you know, just very unlikable. These people definitely can gain respect just because they're so outgoing, you know. Nene also has her Pluto and Virgo placement squaring her sun, which can deal with her having this evil genius or just this darker complex that is not hidden. So she can't hide the fact that she is a nasty, nice type of person. This is something that is easily recognizable. You know, they're able to call it out just for the simple fact that she's a Sagittarius. She's a very honest person, and, you know, she expresses her viewpoints from an honest place. So a lot of people easily catch her drift, and with her having this Pluto and Virgo placement, this can make Nene magnetic, and this definitely can get her into certain rooms that other people wouldn't be able to get in. So when Nene was in Hollywood and she was going on rants calling her cast members broke and calling herself rich and trying to big herself up and put them down in the same breath, this is something you can see with this aspect, this Pluto and Virgo aspect squaring her sun. And that's why we have not seen Nene on TV. You know, again, Virgo does deal with reality. That's why we have not seen Nene on TV. And that's why her reality, you know, TV career was blacklisted. And Pluto and Virgo can deal with, you know, the blacklisting. Again, Sagittariuses naturally are very extravagant, you know, and they can be performative. A lot of the fire signs usually are. But this is squaring the Virgo energy. You know, again, Virgo is all about modesty. It's all about being humble. And, you know, Nene kind of clashes with this energy because she's very braggadocious, like a Sag. She loves to champion and be prideful over her accolades and her successes throughout life. And she likes to show off her wealth. And What makes her so comfortable showing off her wealth is just the fact that she's a Taurus moon person, and she also has her Lilith in Taurus. And so she's all about the money, any means necessary. I do believe she got her start in the strip club. That is allegedly where she met her husband. So Nene is all about the money and the dollar bills. And she has said on the show time and time again that she doesn't argue with people unless it's about a check. And, you know, that kind of is apparent because whenever people are trying to get some closure with Nene at a reunion, or maybe they're trying to get some reasoning behind certain situations that she's been a part of, she's mute. She doesn't give them anything. She doesn't talk to them. And who knows, maybe the check for the reunion isn't as big as her seasonal checks and the checks that she gets per episode. So she just feels like the reunions aren't worth her time to address the girls or something like that. That definitely can be the case. And with her Lilith being in Taurus, she has to be careful with her finances because she can be a very greedy person. Her having this Lilith and Taurus placement, this definitely is one of the placements that makes her fearful or just afraid of poverty. And this is why Nene is always talking about her money and always talking about, you know, being rich and being wealthy. And personally, when they invaded her private space and went into her closet and it made her act out, that impulse to be violent and aggressive was coming from her Lilith and Taurus placement. But even, you know, that Pluto and Virgo placement can contribute to that. And again, she has her moon in Taurus and it's squaring Mars. So the impulse to be aggressive and to fight for whatever she believes in and the things that she owns is there. But I do believe that Nene just puts on a bigger show than what the actual situation may be. She's very performative. So I just feel as if her closet may not have been as luxurious and maybe things were out of order and it wasn't, you know, up to bar and it wasn't up to the standard that some of the other girls had their closets looking. And that's probably why she attacked the cameraman and went in there swinging all mad. Probably because she did not want to get embarrassed. And again, she does have that Mars in Aquarius placement. So that can deal with the exposure of things, especially when it comes to, you know, the outer shell and those facades, the appearances that people tend to put on. She could have got exposed in this area, and this is squaring her moon, and that incident did take place in her house. And since her Mars in Aquarius placement is squaring the moon, so I wouldn't put it past Nene to put on a show and be living large like Sheree from her cast, you know. I'm just sensing that Nene is one of those people who is superficial. She tries to keep up with the Joneses. And on the show, her house always looked empty and it just was loud with the echoes. It looked like it didn't have any furniture in it. So people who usually are very superficial and like to live large like that, they usually are the type to go and get a $5,000 rent and only have a mattress in their house and maybe a TV and a Wi-Fi box, you know, but they're struggling to put some furniture in there. They're struggling to add, you know, those homey touches to make it feel like home. And y'all definitely comment down below if you know someone like that, because I definitely know probably a friend or two who is that type to try to flex and put on for social media or just try to prove a point, and they will drain or deplete their bank account. They'll ruin their face. They'll ruin their body trying to prove a point to somebody else. And y'all drop a comment down below if you know somebody like that. Nene has to be careful when it comes to overexposing her hand in this area, because another familiar Taurus who is her cast member on the show is Candy Burris. And Candy Burris is a legend in her city where she comes from, you know, Atlanta. And she also has a handful of businesses that she promotes through the show. With that being said, Candy is very business savvy. Is she going around and bragging about everything that she has, and she's showing off her house, and she's, you know, doing all of these things that she possibly could do because Candy actually has the money to do it? And does Nene bank account match Candy's? You know what I'm saying? I don't think she would want to go toe to toe with Candy when it comes to the finances. That's just me being very honest here. So Nene has to kind of tone it down, especially when she's someone who is kind of like being still introduced in certain spaces in the entertainment industry. So when Nene was going into Hollywood, it was not a good look when she started arguing with LaToya Jackson. And she did that, I believe, while she was on some show that Donald Trump was producing. And it's just not really a good look, especially because in that industry, those people actually have the money that Nene is seeking and that she's chasing. And they can easily blacklist her. They can easily pay to have her promotions taken down and pay to have her interviews blocked and things like that, you know? And it'll be nothing for them because a regular day for them is probably her 6 months salary. And so Nene just has to be careful in this area and has to like humble herself, and it just isn't a good look. But with her being a Sagittarius, she kind of can't help herself, especially when those times where she wants to validate people and wants to prove people wrong about what they may have said about her or what rumors may be taking place in regards to her finances in her house. She can hoard a lot of items that she values, but it isn't even being used, you know, and these could be items that are of a superficial type of importance in her world. So it could be like nail polishes, handbags, purses, soaps, perfumes, you know, even food. And the opposite side of Taurus is Scorpio. And if you're not using the things that you have, especially these superficial things, they have an expiration date and they will go bad. And that is what Scorpio can represent. And so a lot of the things that she may have interest in and she goes out here and acquire, she may not have the time to like sit down and value it, you know, and then it expires. And this can go for her relationships in a figurative way because Nene is the type of person to accumulate a lot of friends and have them in her corner, but she is not valuing any of her friends. And they tend to move on and bury that relationship that, you know, Nene and them potentially could have had. Taurus may have friends who are wealthy. They can come from, you know, family lines where the wealth was properly managed and passed down. These people can just know a lot about how to manage wealth and how to maintain finances and resources and how to save their own money, you know. And these are the type of women to prepare for those rainy days. And I'm not talking about rainy days like, you know, dealing in the sadness, twiddling their thumbs and pinching together pennies. I'm talking about the rainy days where the money is just flowing in, it's just pouring in, because they're the type to go and get pregnant by a CEO or get pregnant by the founder, the person who has established the company. They're the ones to marry a mayor or to date a senator or to date someone who comes from like a legacy family. And so there's a lot of money being mixed around and being managed. And these are the type of women or just people who have very strong, well-aspected Taurus placements. They have that potential. But that's it for now. I'm going to end the video here. Stay tuned for more interpretations in the future. Drop down some comments of recommendations that you might want to see from me. And subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.